Hi, this is Christina Plochet, and this is my presentation on if-else and else-if conditionals in PHP. So why do we need conditional statements? Well, sometimes it's necessary to only execute code in certain circumstances. Like, if the horse is blue, I'll eat my shoe. This is a simple if statement. If a certain thing is true, then a certain thing happens. If that certain thing is not true, then something else happens. Like if the horse is not blue, then I'm not going to eat my shoe, I will eat pizza instead. But this requires an else statement. If the horse is blue, I will eat my shoe, else I will eat pizza. If the horse is green, I will eat ice cream. This is an example of an else if statement. And if the horse is red, I will eat some bread. But if the horse is none of these colors, I will be bored. Now, I know this is kind of a funny way to introduce these concepts, but the last few images help explain these ideas. There's an if statement with the blue horse, if else with the eating pizza, and else if with the green and red horses, and in the end here being bored. So let's go look at some real life code. There are these operators that compare values, and they check to see if the two values are like equal to or greater than or less than, and they're used to write conditional statements and loops. So they may or may not execute depending on the result of the comparison for a conditional statement, but a loop will execute over and over as long as the statement is true. And that's very important in a lot of our code. So an if statement. If the statement consists of a condition of one or more statements, these are grouped as a block. The PHP will test the condition, and if it's true, the statement will execute. If it's false, the statement won't execute, and it will be skipped. So you can see if it's false, I'm not going to eat my shoe. The code's not going to do anything, but this isn't very helpful. We wouldn't get to go eat our pizza, and that is why we need the else statement. The else statement is what will execute the code if the condition is false. In our case above, it means we'd get to eat pizza if the horse wasn't blue. But let's see what this looks like for real. I added this code to the main section of my template.php file in our Acme project just to see what would happen. There are two statements here. One is a simple statement, if statement that evaluates to be true. And then the next one is an if-else statement that evaluates to be false. And they aren't quite as exciting as my horse statements, but here is what they look like on the front end. So we can see 7's equal to B, they're equal, so it shows, and then they're not equal. And you can see that this output, the text I had with the single quotes in the echo part of the statement, and I also included the HTML h1 tag in the string so that these would be easy to read. All right, let's review this pattern. An if statement evaluates one statement to be true or not, and it only returns a value if true. An if-else statement also only evaluates one statement, but if it's true, it does one thing, and if it's false, it will do another thing. So what if the horse isn't red or green, right? Or is red or green and it's not blue, right? The whole world doesn't revolve around whether a horse is blue or not. That's when we need the else if statement, when you need to evaluate more than one statement for truth. And the pattern goes like this. If this statement is true, do this. Else if this other statement is true, do that. Else if this statement is true, do this. And you can see it repeats until the end when you have just an else statement that says, and if none of these are true, do this other thing. So I like to remember it like this. If else, like I said, do one thing or else. So if else is a one statement. And then else if is like, this or that, else if, else if, else if. So hopefully that'll help you to remember it too. All right, so on the back end, this is an example of what the code looks like in my working example. You can see this else if statements here, and then an else at the end. And then on the front end, you can see it here. So I'd written two else if statements, one where A is equal to D and another one where A was not equal to anything. But I also output what the other variables were equal to. All right, you should try it. In the description area on this video, there's some code that you can copy paste into the main section of your template PHP file. Just remember to erase it when you're done. And thanks for watching. This was fun.